Hi, I'm here to talk to you guys today about how to make money managing other people's property. And I'd like to share a little bit about myself if I could, just to tell you how I sort of got into it. First of all, this is the business that started it all. You can see here, this is a shop front, and it all started around 1990, which, scarily enough, is actually 20 years ago. I know I don't look old enough, guys, but I am. It's 20 years ago, and it's been a very, very tough time. But over those years, we've actually achieved quite a lot. We've actually managed to let over 5,000 properties. That's right, 5,000. Now have a think how many tenancy disputes, contract renewals, vacates, rent arrears, leaky taps, landlords getting stressed, tenants getting stressed. And here's an interesting statistic for you. Do you know we've actually had 5 murders out of 5,000 properties? No, that's a bit scary, but I love statistics, that's quite an interesting stat, but just something to muddle over anyway. Don't rent a property, it's scary. But anyway, in that time we've rented property that's worth over 1.1 billion, so it's quite a lot of volume. And really it's based on all that experience that I want to share with you today as to how you can make money and profit from that by learning from the mistakes that we've made so you don't have to. Here's the team. Here's the little guys that are sort of there to work with you and to help you. And you can see there's quite a few there. But it's actually got a team of over 23 people now that work with me. And I'm really proud to say that 8 of them are qualified to our level 1, which is pretty unheard of in the lettings industry. That's 8 people that are highly qualified to work with you. So there we are. So why do it? Well, I love property. I've got an absolute passion for property in every way, shape or form. And yes, being a letting agent, you get to work with lots of different property, lots of other people's property. But the real sexy bit about it is you get to buy your own. And you're looking at properties all the time. You're going out there seeing properties, seeing other people's properties, advising people about properties. You're going to come across people that want to sell. And of course, you might buy a few. It just goes without saying. And here's a few of the sort of properties that you could buy by being a letting agent, because these deals just come to you. People want to sell, you're in a position to buy, you take them on. But of course that's not why you do it. Obviously buying these properties and getting into property, it gives you cash flow, it gives you a secondary income that's coming in as well as the money you've got coming in from the business. But you don't do it because you want to own property. You do it because you want to have fun. And here's some of the things that, depends on what your aspirations are. Me personally, I love Spain. I love going to Spain. I wanted to own a villa in Spain. That was my aspiration. That was my goal. I do like cars. Me and my son, we like to drive around in a nice car, and that's what we wanted to have and what we wanted to own. But what's yours? And that's what property gives you. It gives you choices. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I want to talk to you about business. Now, what this is all about is about running a business that makes you money using other people's time. Now here is a quadrant that a lot of you are going to be familiar with. And this is called the Business Quadrant, and it's done by a much more famous guy than me, someone called Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. Lots of you have probably heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Fantastic book. Absolutely awesome. Love it. And he talks really strongly about all the different ways that people make money. Now, a lot of you are probably going to be into investment. Investment is where you might put it in stocks or shares, you might put it into property, you might stick it in a bank. But a lot of you are going to be into investment in one way, shape or form or another. A lot of you will probably start off, certainly I did, and a lot of us start off as an employee. You work for somebody else. You trade your time for money. That's employment. Self-employment is where you trade your own time for your own money. You work to make money for you as opposed to for somebody else. But what I love is the B quadrant. Now, Robert Kiyosaki says this is one of the most difficult quadrants of them all because you've got to have such a multitude of skills. You've got to run other people, you've got to motivate teams, balance the books, be the salesman, be the one attention to detail, and sometimes even changing the loo rolls as well. You've got to do everything. And that's what business is all about. It's about making systems and processes work using other people. But it's different to self-employed, because with self-employed, you're only ever limited by what time you can invest. With business, it's unlimited, because you can take on more and more and more people and achieve so much more. That's what we're here today. So how can you make money managing other people's property? I'm going to share with you 5 tips today, 5 things that I believe are absolutely paramount, that if you're considering going into a career of letting other people's property, you really need to consider. And I'm doing this based on a lot of experience. Remember, I've ran a letting agency for 20 years, but I've also worked with other people as well. For quite some time I acted as mentor or consultant, actually working with people that were struggling, letting agents that were struggling, people that were trying to manage other people's property and doing not a very good job in some cases, or just not getting it right. And it's that experience that I put this together for you today. Number 1. Now, obviously as landlords, a lot of you are going to experience letting agents not doing this very well. This is getting the properties let. It's so important. If you're a letting agent and you don't get the properties let, you're not going to make any money. It's simple. It's so obvious. Of course it's obvious. But how many get it wrong? Now, with me, I love business, I love numbers, I love statistics. And what this is all about is a numbers game. It's like any sales job. It's a numbers game. And this is no different. So, be honest. I'm sure a few of you have sometimes moaned at your letting agent because they've perhaps not done enough viewings, not let your property quick enough, not phoned you and gave you an update. I'm sure you have. We all have. But let me just talk to you about some of the figures that you need to do as a letting agent in order to get those properties let. This is a typical branch. One of my branches that I expect to do 30 lets in a month. Now, to do 30 lets in a month, most letting agents would just think picking up the phone and going out would be sufficient. But it isn't. They wonder month and month again why they're not hitting their targets, why they're not doing their deals. It's because they're not looking further up the chain and getting their statistics right. In order to get 30 lets, we have got to receive, and yes, I did say receive, 957 email inquiries. That's quite a lot. Don't forget you've got to deal with those inquiries, find out what they're looking for, etc. Not just open the email and close it again. We've got to log on 319 tenants onto the system. That's logging on 319 tenants. So you've got to get those tenants in or on the phone, whatever, write down what they want, what they're looking for, log it onto the system. There's quite a lot of work to do there. Not only is that enough, once you've done that, you've then got to book 175 viewings. 175. Now just stop for a second and just think about that typical letting agent that you've been into most recently. A lot of them, you've just got the sales part, and then quite a lot, you've got like Mary in the corner, and she does lettings. Now think about Mary. Mary's had to do 957 email inquiries, 175 viewings, 319 tenant registrations. That's pretty scary. So anyway, 175 viewings, that's booking 175 viewings, getting the keys, going out there, making sure the tenants are vacated and the property's been cleaned, all that sort of thing, getting back to the property, back to the office, writing the details down. It's all so important stuff. That's a lot of work involved in that. Once you've done that, you would hopefully get 35 applications. Why do we say 35? That's because 5 are going to fall out of bed, change their mind, property's not going to be ready, etc., etc., to achieve 30 lets. That's how much those people have to do. Now, if you're thinking of a letting agent with one person in the office, how can they do all that? Because once they've done the lets, they've then got to do the administration, the inventories, the gas certificates and all the rest of it. You know, it's a lot of work involved. But you know, those aren't the really scary figures. The scary figures are the fact that you've actually got to send something in the region of 10 to 15,000 emails out to get those 957 back in. That's right, 10 to 15,000 emails out. That's pretty phenomenal. Just think, dear John, please find attached 3-bed semi suiting your requirements, send. That's a lot of emails. Now, of course, we don't do it like that. Because without systems and processes, you would never get this volume of stuff done. So how do we do it? Quite simply, it's about systems and processes. Any business at all is about systems and processes, and it's a creation of multiple systems and processes that work time and time again, giving consistent results, and this is no different. So absolutely top of the tree, you've got to have computer software that works, that's good, that controls the staff to make sure that they're doing what they should be doing and not doing what they shouldn't be doing. If I was to tell you that our computer software was to be able to put a property on a system, click a button, and it would find all the tenants that match that property, click another button, it would send out anything between 0 and 15,000 emails. Do you see how it becomes a lot more simpler to send out a huge volume of emails? Normally we get about 400 applicants matching a property, and then we would click that button and send those out to that. So then you can see how you can quite easily build up to 15,000 applicants. On top of that, it will also click another button and it will actually send out landlord updates to all the landlords that are out there as well. So the key is systems and processes and dealing with the minute detail. Okay, second, it's really important that you can focus on other things as well, not just the lettings. Now, obviously, you're not going to do this if you haven't got the first bit right. If you're running around like a headless chicken and you're still trying to answer the phone and do those viewings and you've lost the keys and all the rest of it, don't even bother with this bit. But if you can get that bit right, there's so many other things you can actually make lots of money from. And we call it the cream on the top. Here's some of the examples. I'm not going to go into all of them today, but just a few examples. Tenants insurance. Very simply, put it in your tenant's terms and conditions that they have got to have tenants insurance. When they come to move in, if they haven't got tenants insurance, they don't move in. Very simple. You can't say they've got to have your insurance, but they've got to have insurance. So what happens? We find that something like 97, 95% will take our insurance. And we get commissions for that. And a really cool thing about that is when they go and let for another letting agent, they take the insurance with them. There's a few other income streams there. Utility suppliers, get everybody signed up on utility supplies because that makes life a lot easier. And things like referencing, really important, adds value to the landlord and adds value to the tenant. But ultimately, these additional income streams, it's all about adding value to the landlord client. If they don't have value, you shouldn't be doing them.